Look, 28 days later, it was 23 years ago. Why was now the right time for you to return to this story?
Well, there's lots of reasons. Obviously, we've been through a couple of things that you can read in a film, like COVID, the emergency of COVID, which we all shared, and people used to talk about the opening of the original film when we emptied out the streets of London as being remarkably similar to what happened to us in the early days of COVID in all our cities around the world. And then we've had Brexit. You can read a bit of Brexit in there because they're isolated in the island. But it was the fans who kept screening the film in cinemas, and I'd go along and do Q&As, and they were rabid. They were like the infected for the movie. Whereas movies usually date a bit, you know, they kind of fade away and it's nostalgic, if anything. This was like current. And so I said to Alice Garland, we should probably have another go. And so we started coming up with an idea. And then your most famous son, Cillian Murphy, had a part to play in this, and he will have a part to play in it.
So we will?
He will eventually. He will eventually.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. Do you know what's funny? I actually used 28 days later as a caption I put up in the middle of Dublin city centre during COVID. There was no one on the streets, and I was like, perfect, you know? You notably used none of the original cast from 28 days later in this film, 28 years later. Why did you and the writer, Alex Garland, why did you decide to start completely fresh with this cast?
Because we didn't want to make a very, what you would call a very close sequel, you know, that kind of identified. And this is where Cillian came into it, is that we talked to him and we agreed that he would feature in the second and third of a trilogy of films, because that's what we're trying to make, is 3 films that are satisfying on their own right. You can see them all individually or indeed in any order. But there is an arc that eventually leads to Cillian Murphy and Jim from the original film. And he'll appear in the end of the second film, and then the third film will be his. And it gave us the chance to make an original film, rather than something that felt like it was a copy of the very first one.
OK, whatever about, like, the UK being isolated, when I looked at the map and I went, we're in bright red as well. What's going on?
I know.
Is there too short a gap between across the Irish Sea?
Well, so I don't. It's a very difficult decision to make, and you have to make it when you decide to have a map. Is whether to include Ireland or not. And of course, the authorities would just include all the islands, you know, like the Channel Islands, and they just include all of them in it, really, as a catch-all. But also, the story has obviously its ultimate place has an Irish context, obviously, with Cillian himself. So who knows what might happen in the final episode?
All right, OK, so we might be on the move, Danny.
I can't say anything at the moment.